I'm Kwegyirba Croffie for It's Relevant News. Welcome to Candidate Profiles. I'd like to thank Senator Bob Duff for joining me today for a conversation. Thanks for coming down to our new studio space. So we're going to get right into it. What would your top 3 legislative priorities be for this coming if you're reelected?
Right. Well, thank you. Thanks again for having me and allowing me to spend some time with you to talk about the issues that are important to the residents of Norwalk and Darien. The top 3 issues for me are very simple, really. One is, first of all, jobs in the economy. We want to get everybody back to work, and those who can work, we want to get them back into gainful employment. And we've had some good news on that front over the last 2 years. We've had over 60,000 private sector jobs created over the last 4 years, actually. We continue to work with our jobs initiatives like the Small Business Express program. That's helped over 2,000 businesses and helped to create 14,000 jobs and retain about 30,000 jobs. And what the Small Business Express does is it helps businesses kind of make that investment. The state helps, but also kind of gives the small businesses a little bit of a push to help them. We have programs as well to hire the long-term unemployed and also hire our returning veterans, which is very important. So that provides tax credits. So getting people back to work is really first and foremost a priority. Our unemployment rate has dropped. It hasn't dropped enough as far as we're concerned, but we want to continue to make sure that works. I believe that we're really turning the ship around on that issue. The second issue for me, obviously, is transportation. It's always big for us here in Fairfield County. We want to continue to invest in our highways like we are in our Exit 1415, which should be done next spring on time and on budget. We have money now for the Walk Bridge, the railroad bridge in Norwalk, and that's going to get moving along, and we're designing that project along with the other 2 railroad bridge projects on the Metro North line. We're going to see the new trains. They're all going to be in by the end of the year. We want to continue to invest in our infrastructure, our rail infrastructure. One big project that's coming up that's on my radar that I've been working really hard on over the last few years is the Merritt Parkway interchange, which is the interchange between the Merritt Parkway and Route 7. That's going to continue, and that should be coming forward pretty soon with some pretty major announcements, probably after the election. So those are some of the things that to do, but I think it's very important that we continue to invest in our roads, our rails. We passed some legislation last year with a port authority, which is important for us in the state so that we can get truck traffic off 95 and put it on barges and then work that way. Our high-speed rail that we're doing from New Haven to Springfield. And then the third issue really is education and continuing to look at education holistically, not just in a silo. And what do I mean by that? We cannot grow jobs for the 21st century if we don't have a good education system. We did education reform a couple years ago. We're now seeing some of the benefits of that and higher test scores. Norwalk is one of the bigger recipients of preschool slots, and we're putting preschool slots all over Norwalk in our schools and other places. We have received more money for education cost sharing and priority school money for our secondary schools. In addition to that, we're also partnering with Norwalk Community College, UConn, and also Wright Tech has opened up as our technical high school. So, all those kinds of things need to get done so that we do have those jobs for the 21st century and that we have that workforce that's able. Businesses aren't going to come to Connecticut if we don't have those people who are ready to work, prepared after college, and really, frankly, that's our sweet spot. We don't have oil wells, we don't have gas fields, we have smart, educated people, and that's always what has put Connecticut at the top of all the lists.
Great. So we talked about transportation. So let's get kind of specific because we know that that's a big issue. Metro North has been a big issue. The Walk Bridge, like we know in Norwalk, it got stuck twice within a very short amount of time.
Right.
So why is that such an important topic to make sure that you pass legislature to fix that?
Right. Well, I mean, one is it's an embarrassment when it gets locked up like that, and we cannot have trains go through. And secondly, it's not really just a Connecticut issue; it's a national issue because we have 4 tracks on our lines, and 2 of those are used by Amtrak. So when those tracks aren't working, that bridge isn't working, those tracks aren't working, that means that the whole northeast corridor for Amtrak is not online. And then on top of that, you've stranded now thousands of commuters who use Metro North. That bridge probably should have been replaced a long time ago, but through the efforts really of Governor Malloy and really lobbying the Transportation Secretary for those funds along with our congressional delegation, and I had led a letter of state legislators to lobby for that as well. I think all of us coming together has been really important on receiving that funding. It was a major grant for us in the state of Connecticut. But we have to have a reliable system. People just want to have reliability, and they want to make sure that they can get to work on time. And it's convenience and reliability at the same time. And with our new rail cars, that's great. We need to continue to invest and make sure that our tracks are good. We're investing in our catenary wires, which are the electrical wires overhead that makes the trains run, and that should be done in a few years. So all these things together make for a better commuting system, and really encourage people to take mass transit, and also send a signal out to the business community that we're really serious about maintaining that infrastructure.
And then going back on 95, we're talking about the 1415, which is also important because a lot of people know that there's a lot of traffic always in that same area.
Right.
And why is that portion of 95 really important?
Right. Well, every time we talk about traffic, or you hear something on the radio or the TV, there's always that clog in Norwalk. We want to get rid of that. And 4 years ago, I had Governor Malloy. We stood there together when he was candidate Malloy, talking about getting this project going. And as soon as he became governor, he fulfilled that promise and got that project going. And it's a 3.5-year project, which we've said from the beginning, and it is on time and on budget, should be done in the spring. But those are the kinds of things that we need to do to get people back and forth. People, again, want reliability. They want to know that they can get from point A to point B and with some reliability. I mean, we have a lot of traffic in this area. We have accidents. Sometimes that holds things up a little bit, but it shouldn't be done. We shouldn't be holding people up because of the fact that we didn't do these projects when we should have done them. So my feeling is, let's get them done. That's why the interchange is so important. It's ridiculous that you can go northbound on the Parkway and then go northbound on Super 7, but you can't go southbound. Or I can't go from Hartford down or New Haven down southbound and then get on Super 7. I can't do that. There's no exit to do that. So it's kind of an incomplete project that needs to get completed, and that's going to get done too.
So let's talk about bullying. So we know October is National Bully Prevention Month. Is there a role for state legislators to play in reducing bullying in schools?
I absolutely agree, because we see lots of times where kids get bullied, especially at a young age, and it continues generally on all the way sometimes through kids are into high school. And then actually we find adults who bully adults, even later on. So if we can nip this in the bud, that's really what we need to do. Connecticut has always had very strong anti-bullying laws as a state. We had a bill, a new law many years ago that talked about reporting by boards of education to the state and making sure that they had anti-bullying policies. We have since updated those laws, and we will probably continue to update those laws, but I'm proud of Connecticut for having really taken this issue very, very seriously, and saying that, as a state, our value system says that we need to do as much as we can not to have bullying. Now, it still occurs, obviously. So a lot of it is parental, is recognizing it in school and talking to your kids as well, because there's certain behaviors associated with if you have been bullied or if you are a bully. But I think that we have come a long ways in this. And I know my kids are taught in the schools quite a bit about bullying and anti-bullying, and beyond know what to look out for. But I think for us anyway, our job is not going to be done until we no longer see those kinds of tragedies like we saw even in Greenwich, where a student took his life because he had been bullied for a long time. So, we have this legislation, we have laws, and we've updated our laws, but we clearly need to continue to look at this while as long as we still see these kinds of tragedies.
Right. And another education question is, you're talking about pre-K and early childhood education, but what elements would the state law need to have to be successful in closing the achievement gap? Right.
Well, some of the education reform that we've done over 2 years ago has actually reduced the achievement gap in the state of Connecticut. Our test scores are higher, our reading and math scores are higher, and we are closing the achievement gap in Connecticut. I mean, we're in the unfortunate situation where we have one of the highest achievement gaps in the nation. So we have a lot of work to do. But through the education reform, especially what we've done in our urban areas with the commissioners network and the alliance districts and things like that, that has helped to bring additional funds and additional ways in which we can try and tackle the achievement gap. I mean, really, I think what all of us would like to see in state government at least those who care about the issue, which I assume is most legislators, is really universal pre-K, especially in the urban areas. You want to get kids who come to kindergarten who are prepared and ready to learn, and you don't have that kind of gap as soon as you start. We've taken a number of steps to do that. Unfortunately, through fiscal issues, you can't just kind of wave a magic wand and have universal pre-K. But I'm proud of the fact that Norwalk has been a good partner with the state in order to make sure that there's space in the schools to do that. And we'll continue to work together to have more universal pre-K for Norwalk. But I think we need to have that really in every urban school district.
Great. So last question, what excites you about representing Norwalk and Darien, and why did you want to continue to do this?
Right. Well, I still love the job, and I love standing up for the people of Norwalk and Darien. Really, what gets me going every day is the fact of obviously the laws that we pass and the things that we do, but what really continues to motivate me every day is really helping constituents. I try to make myself as available as possible, whether it's putting my home phone number all over the place, or being visible at community events, or making sure I personally respond to people's emails or other types of inquiries. But lots of times when you're able to help somebody on a one-on-one basis, they're always the most difficult, because by the time they get to me, somebody's very frustrated. But when I get a chance to help them, that really makes me feel really good and keeps me motivated to do the job. For instance, last week somebody said that I helped them stay in their home, that I was help them to get a modification for their home so they wouldn't get foreclosed on. That means a lot, because that means that up until they contacted me, they were not able to get that success, and that I was able to help whatever happened to kind of move things and have them be able to stay in their home. So those kinds of stories, or senior citizens who call me and have problems with their Medicare or Medicaid, or people who have problems with the bureaucracy or insurance issues or things like that. And there's just thousands of constituents I've helped over the years, and I feel very good about that, and being able to be responsive and active in the district so that they know they can always reach out to me.
Wonderful. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to
it.
our
My
big
pleasure.
studio.
Yeah.
You're welcome.